There are lots of things you'll talk about on Foundation, but one of them is money. So let me give you a couple of really quick money tools you get in the Foundation book that you can start right now. Yay! So one is you want to put the amount of cash that you would carry in your wallet if you had all the money in the world. In other words, if you were as wealthy as you would like to be someday, how much cash would you carry at all times? Let's say it's $500. The way this works is if you put the $500 in your wallet, you'll open your wallet to pay for your groceries or whatever, and you look in there and you see the $500, and what goes on in your head is, oh, I've got this money. That's what
I have money.
Yeah, I have money. I'm just choosing not to spend it. Because what most people do is they get money, they spend it, they get money, they spend it. Most people are not used to having money, which is another concept that we talk about in the Foundation class. So ask yourself, if I had all the money in the world, how much cash would I carry with me at all times? And some people go, well, I've got $1,500 on my credit card. Yeah, but we're talking cash so you can actually see it, so you can feel it, so you can touch it, so you can actually start to enjoy this thing called money again. One other really quick tool is you want to put away 10% of everything that comes in as an honoring of you. And you're like, what? Well, let's say you make $1,000 a month. Let's say, hopefully you make more than 1,000, but let's say you make 1,000. What you want to do is you want to take $100 out of that 1,000 and you want to put it away as an honoring of you. See, most people, what they do is they honor their bills. And we know how this works because when you honor your bills and you pay your bills first before you pay you just get more bills. When you honor you and you pay you first, you get more money. And this is not new, putting 10% away. But if you'll actually do it, what happens is you start to get this sense of having money, but also honoring you with the money that you create. And your life starts to become about honoring you, and whatever money is required to be the honoring of you, your money flows start to increase to match that and make that happen. It's kind of like this wonderful energetic way of doing things that most people don't realize will actually work. And for me, one of the things I really wanted to change when I came to Access 19 years ago was my money situation. The first thing that I did was I started putting 10% away. And then I also got this tool about putting the amount of money that I would have if I were rich, the amount of cash I would put in my wallet. And I started doing that. What I did is I used the 10% to build up that amount of cash because I had absolutely no cash. In fact, I was overdrawn in all kinds of wonderful places. And what's interesting is within a few days, my sense of having money started to change. Within the next 6 months, my entire financial reality changed. So that's just one of the tools in Foundation. You have a lot of others.
We do, but I want to add to yours as well.
Go for it.
Yeah, because I love that tool. And one of the things, when I came along, I realised that I was 187,000 Australian dollars in debt. And I started putting away $1,000 in my wallet to keep, same thing, I used my 10% account and put that away in my wallet because that's what I perceived a wealthy person would have, is $1,000 cash. And you know what? It was years later that I looked in my wallet and I counted up my money and I went, I always have like $1,000 on me. And I went, I just created being a rich person. Like what I had decided was a wealthy person, I created it. And I was $187,000 in debt and had no money, kept creating. But those money tools changed everything for me. And can I say, the money tools were the ones I resisted the most. I used all the others and they worked. And then I was like, yeah, money tools, blah, blah, blah. And then one day when I heard you and Gary talking about the money tools again, I went, what's the worst thing that can happen if I actually use these tools?
You want to ask that question?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you don't. Maybe what's the best thing that could... You get the idea.
Well, I was like, if I'm going to put the energy into this and the effort into it, what's the worst thing that can happen? I just have, I can spend my 10% or I can spend the money I put in my wallet. But like you said, within about 3 months, I noticed that there was a sense of peace I had with money that was totally different. So sometimes these tools, especially if you resist them, they're usually the ones that are going to change the most for you.
That's a big one. Yeah. Especially when you resist them. And I've learnt that one. When I go, I don't want to use that tool. Okay, I'm going to use that tool. But it's like even with the 10% account, I started putting that away and then I'd spend it. And then I'd put it away and then I'd spend it. And I'd be like, this is rubbish. This doesn't work. While resisting it. And it's like, and I remember saying to you, can you hold on to this 10% for me and don't let me spend it, whatever I say.
You said, even if I ask you for it, don't give it to me. And I went, okay.
and it got up to a couple of $1,000s, I think, and I needed money, and I went, "Can I have that money?" And you went, "No." And it's like, once I got to that point, I recognized that I liked having money, and I went, "Okay, fine, I'll figure out another way how to make money," and my financial reality changed from then on.
That thing that you just talked about, because I did the same thing. I was putting it away for about 6 months, and everything was changing. Everything was getting easier. But the other thing was I didn't have a reference point for it being easy with money.
Yeah.
My family struggled financially my whole life, and we have all of our points of view, our reasons, our justifications. And so something came up that was this big bill that I had to pay. So I spent a lot of my 10%, probably about 80% of my 10% account. Thank God I had it, right? But I spent it, and what was interesting is it felt like my life, like all the flow that was going on, which is actually part of what creates money, it felt like it dried up. And I was like, oh my God. And I called Gary about a week after, and I asked him about this, and I said, and I really didn't want to because I knew I wasn't supposed to spend my 10%. But you know how that is.
Bad boy.
Yeah, I know. I'm a bad, conscious person. And he goes, and as soon as I started, I'm like, Gary, can I ask you a question about money? And he went, oh, you spent your 10%, didn't you? And I was like, asshole. How did you know? But he could perceive the energy all over my world. And I said, yes, I did. And he said, and things have dried up, haven't they? I went, yes, they have. When you get really pissed at somebody else because you've screwed yourself, like you haven't been kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And he said, all you got to do is start putting it away again.
Don't judge yourself.
Oh,
yeah,
that's such a big key to it, though. It's like you can create so much change in your life and then feel like you've gone backwards, and you can keep going.
Yeah. And just like, you're not wrong. And guess what? We all do it.
Yeah.
Like all of us have done it.
Yeah.
We have done it. We have done it a lot. So it's okay if you do it.
I have a follow-up story to this. I don't know if I've ever told you this, because you came along to Access about a year before me, or 18 months before me. And when you spent your 10% and all your money started to dry up, I watched what happened and I went, oop. And it's like, you took one for the team, and I never spent my 10% from then. I was like, whoop, Dane just took one for the team. I'm not going to do that.
Never going to do that. Look at how he's suffering. Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's the first time we're learning this. That's awesome. So this is one of the tools and one of the ways, and it's the tool, but also the thing about the foundation class is it gives you this different perspective on things, which is what I love so much, because it's like most of us have been going along the road, the same road for so long. It's like we've got walls to the left and right of us, and we don't have a different perspective. The foundation changes your perspective on almost everything.
It kind of takes the walls down around you.
Yeah,
You're like, wow, I can see in every direction now, and I can start choosing from a different place.
Yeah, truly.